remember how in SHOT Show 2024, I basically went to go visit the main booth of ASG with the big cap out in their visitation booths. And I have to admit, some of the innovations that came out there were actually pretty nice. Like we've seen of the new styles of the AAP01s, the carbines that are coming out with the Evo MOSFET trigger units that we know. And one of them in particular was a underestimated type of build. So who would this be out to? Well, this is a big shout out to the group that is very, very small and distinct when it comes to a very massive amount of customizations to one specific rifle. A copy of a 22 long range rifle. In fact, the airsoft variant is known as the KC02. So a big shout out to my KC02 enthusiasts out here, as we're going to be talking about as the multiple customizations out there, but we don't have to worry about that too much, as we're talking about a new innovation from ASG, is this bad boy. Today we're going to do the review on ASG's STC H22 gas blowback rifle. Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of Airsoft Master. And today we're talking about, is this beauty of a KC02 inspired build is the ASG H22 STC. Mainly the STC stands for is Special Teams Carbine. And we'll go more into that. But before we do, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and comment down below if this is something my KC02 fans would see them putting into their collection. And if you're looking for products like these, just check it out at airsoftmaster.com. So why don't we go ahead and move on forward and move on to the review. So for ASG, also known as Action Sports Games, they wanted something that is more relevant and at the same time something that a lot of our small KC02 fans wanted, something more brand new. And well, if you think about it, they do a lot of customizations like bulb ups, actual Magpul Ruger stocks on it to make it more of the Ruger 22s. But at the same time, it's all been done for. So to see the new idea of licensing by Hera Arms to do a KC02 build, this is something interesting, meaning the actual true meaning of the rifle, the H22, the Hera Arms 22. Now, for this, it's very kind of interesting. So why don't we work our way from the front end of the rifle and work our way to the back. Starting off with is our mandatory orange tip. Now, surprisingly, it's very familiar, as this is the same flash hider you would expect from the Scorpion Evo setups, but by the flash hider on the Hera Arms. Now, what's nice underneath that is you do have this a 14mm counterclockwise threading. So say, for example, if you want to do your DMR builds with adding a suppressor or maybe even a tracer unit for the close quarter situations, you can do so. Right underneath that on the threading, you do have is a full metal outer barrel system, which actually helps out with a complement inside to help protect your 380mm inner barrel. Now that we already basically talked about the outer barrel, let's go ahead and talk about the rail and the rest of the chassis we do see here, as this is basically built by Hera Arms, and the rail system that we do see is one thing that is nice is the M-LOK rail segment. Specifically, we do see that the offset is between the 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock positions, where you end up with, like what we've done here, the accessories of putting a flashlight on the right hand side. What makes it more interesting from Hera Arms is what they also helped provide it was M-LOK rail segments on the 6 o'clock position to put such as foregrips or even bipods whenever we need to do more of that precision shots, or just in general make it our own accessories. Again, what's great about this is the fact that you're able to have a very lightweight rail on this 22 style rifle. Good job with this, Hera Arms, and I have to admit, good job with ASG to keeping the attention to detail. Now when it comes to the top rail segment on the 12 o'clock, you do have is a very long and uninterrupted monolithic rail. So if you needed to put like such as such as rail accessories like you'll see like as a laser system or even a short dot on here, you do have a massive amount of space out there to whatever you would need for whatever specific use you want to use for this build. Now, when it comes to the licensing and trademarks all around, you will have that in the massive amount on the whole rifle. In fact, on the rail, you'll have is the Hera Arms licensing trademarks alongside with on the other side of the rail saying H2, H22, and the H7 system on here. Not only we do have that is on the receiver saying the HA, and you do have is the H signia on the upper hand of the receiver. So of course, what's the best way to flex an actual company from Hera Arms? By just having it all over the rifle to show off. In fact, that they do even have it on the bottom end of the cheek riser and the back end of the stock. As per the controls, normally on the KC02, what we expected, and specifically on the H22, you do have is a latch here to remove the magazine, and this basically would remove the 29 round magazine inside, and then for you to pop it back in. Right next to, right behind the latch, you'll have is the safety mechanism right here, which is this very simple system itself, where you end up pushing the button inside to basically lock the trigger for safe, and then once you see the red ring indicator as such, you're able to pull the trigger safely. Why don't we go ahead and talk about the most important thing that's on here on the controls is the internals. Now, what do we expect from ASG is the internals inside here is, of course, the reliable system of the KC02. But as ASG did for us is making this 100% RogueWorks compatible to the upgrades for inside the ASG H22. Now you're wondering, who is RogueWorks? Well, RogueWorks is a very fine company from the United Kingdom to help CNC build upgrades for a lot of the KC02 internal parts, such as the change out the upgrades for hop-up chambers, or even to change out the upgrades from changing from the normal proprietary setup to VSR 10 buckings and chambers, and also inner barrels out there to make it more of a fine-tuned type of system you'll see for a 22 style rifle. And at the same time, one thing they're known for is their vast majority of beautiful artwork alongside with their CNC precision is the variable colors that is given out there. Meaning, if you have RogueWorks parts from your original KC02, you can put these in here without no problem. As they stated, this is ready to go for upgrade compatibility. Now, speaking about upgrade compatibility, one thing that I will have to emphasize is the hop-up when it comes to adjusting for specifically whatever weight BBs you want to use on this gas blowback rifle. But where is it? If you look closely enough, where the uninterrupted monolithic rail, you do see is you have is a top dead center style hop-up dial to basically help adjust to whatever weight BBs you use. So if you want to basically increase your hop-up chamber, just basically rotate it clockwise to increase your hop-up. The opposite to decrease is switches to counterclockwise to whatever weight BBs you want to use downrange. Now let's go ahead and talk about the stock. The stock is, for one thing, it is a very slim style, and for the KC02 builds or the 22 style builds, I have to admit this is a very, very comfortable and slim type of feature that I do like, and the cheek riser does help out when it comes to aiming down sight, as you do see me doing through the red dot. Now, not only is just a feature to help out with you in adjusting and helping keeping stability, this also has a compartment to actually store whatever you would need, such as your oil, your lubricants, or even a speed loader to have just in keep a storage of like whatever BBs you need. So you do have as a nice little backup. But say, for example, you don't like that storage compartment. Well, the good news is you can take off all that and make it more of a streamlined style as like the other Hera Arms chassis that we do see out there in the real steel community. Which leads to the one thing that's mostly important is magazine compatibility. And I will have to admit, when it comes to the H22 STC, if you still have your KC02 magazines, congratulations, as you do have extra spares for your H22. Now, I do have to admit there are other copies out there for the KC02 builds in regards to magazines, such as the novice and everything else. but I would just recommend sticking to the original KC02 magazines, as again, it's a different spec and different actual aspect when it comes to putting into the feeding quality that you'll see here. So for this one, I would say just stick with the regular KC02 mags and just be fine with the 30 rounds that is given. I'm using 0.20 gram BBs and Jag race gas. So when we chrono this gun, on average, one thing we noticed is that we're looking around is the 390 to 400 feet per second, which is very, very good for the outdoor field if you just want to use it out the box. But say for example, Mike, what if I want to use it for indoors? Well, for that, I would recommend is giving a big shout out to Rogueworks in regards of actually getting some of their upgrade parts like such as the Genesis kit to help make it more upgradable, and at the same time to help give you the reducers that is compatible to it to help decrease those FPS out there. What that means is bring it to your local tech for them to actually put the new upgraded kicks inside your H22. So other than the gun and the standard 29 round magazine, what else do you get with this rifle? Well, for starters, you do have is your standard operation manual for help out with maintenance and also operations, how to use the gun and safety wise. At the same time, it's kind of a nice little trick and kind of ironic as well, is you do have is a nice sticker, Rogueworks sticker from them when you want to represent your future investments in parts and upgrading your H22. But that is not the most icing on the cake or the cherry on top on this rifle. For starters, I would say airsofters and also airsoft companies should probably start looking into doing this, as I would have to admit I would agree with this aspect, especially for the cost of this, what we'll talk about later on, is providing your own hard case. And I mean, look at this thing. This is almost equivalent to some of the cases I've seen that it costs around $120, $140, but it comes with it with your rifle. What's interesting as well is they have this pre-cut ready to go for your H22 to sit pretty and mint in there with some real estate if you want to cut your own to probably store your magazines or any other accessories you want to keep on the side for your H22. So what are my final thoughts on the ASG H22 STC? For starters, I have to admit, for the KC02 community, this is more of a fresh of breath air to see and actually seeing a new innovation out there for such a very underestimated community out there. And for this one, it's a new innovation that we haven't got a chance to see yet, and seeing it now in person, it's a really good deal. Now, the price range, I do have to admit it is pricey, as when during the time of recording, this is $500. But the fact that you have a nice lightweight design for the actual KC02, but for this one, the H22, that's licensed by Hera Arms, and it comes with this nice case, I have to admit, this is a pretty good basis for bang for your buck, where not only you get is a good looking rifle, but a good looking case to cover everything, including maybe even your other KC02 builds. But then I digress. So what do you guys think about the actual H22? Is it something that you would kind of want? And then again, don't forget, if you want to check out these products, just check it out airsoftmaster.com. But for this episode, my name's Mike. I'll see you guys till next time.
This video is brought to you by Airsoft Master.